loud.
Today! I hate us. I feel like now my throat is scratchy. I don't think alcohol is what makes it stop being scratchy. Hello, cheers, and welcome to Tipsy Book Talks. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Ran.
And today we are doing a fan favorite, The Great Gatsby.
And with this, we are going to be drinking a peach whiskey lemonade in honor of the summertime when most of the parties go on, and as well they drink a ton of whiskey.
A ton of whiskey.
We didn't want to just drink whiskey, so we did a drink that I actually make a lot during the summer. Normally I'll include some peach tea in there, so it's kind of like a drunken Arnold Palmer, but this is just a quick, easy little drink that we decided to make.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
That is so good.
It's just so easy to drink. It's just 2 ounces of peach whiskey and fill up with lemonade and then just put some ice in.
I swear
Super
this will
simple.
get you drunk undercover. This is one of those ones that'll sneak up on you, I think. Okay, to start us off right now, Rayanne is looking up a BuzzFeed video for which Great Gatsby character are you? Now, I'm having some issues with this because if I'm being completely honest, I don't give a shit about any of the characters.
True. Literally every single character.
I dislike just about every single character.
Annoying. Anyway, let's play. Okay, it's Friday night. What are you doing? Do you want to answer or do you want me to give you...
Give me options.
Okay, we got throwing a party, cooking, just spending the night at home, reading a book, playing some kind of sport.
I'm gonna say reading a book because that's so on brand for me.
What would your ideal house look like? A new extravagant mansion, a smaller, more private house, a big apartment in the city, older townhouse, a college dorm room?
I would say, what's the second option?
A smaller, more private house?
Yeah, I would pick that one.
Okay, what's your... Oh, I can already... Of all of these, I'm just gonna pick the one I know.
It's red.
Yeah.
It was, what's your favorite color? My favorite color is red.
Okay, if you were a dog, which breed would you be? A poodle, a pit bull, a beagle, a Siberian husky, or a pug? I feel like Taylor, of all of these, would be a poodle because they look like it would be super high maintenance, but she's really not.
I feel like I'd be a beagle.
You always look so put together.
I'm always so proud, yeah.
Okay, what's your drink of choice? Okay.
Is there coffee?
It's champagne, tea, water, whiskey, or anything with alcohol.
Champagne.
Yeah. What's your ideal vacation? An expensive trip around the world? A cruise? Paris? Somewhere isolated and quiet? I like to stay home.
I'm gonna say my dream vacation would be an expensive trip around the world.
Ooh.
But is it ideal for me because I have no money? No.
Is it ideal? Not one bit.
Is it feasible in any way? The answer is no.
This is a question that I shouldn't ask Taylor and I should just choose, but it's how would your friends describe you? And there's playful, loyal, whimsical, naive, or a hopeless romantic.
I don't know. How would you describe me, Rayanne?
Honestly, I'd probably say that you're loyal and also kind of a hopeless romantic.
I am both of those things.
I'm going to say loyal because you're a good friend. Oh my gosh, you got my favorite character! Nick Carraway! You're a very reliable person and quiet and quite kind-hearted. Blech. You're innocent and nervous to try new things, but you're also very polite and well-mannered. It's also the, I don't know if you can see this, but it's the one from the Gatsby. It's the Spider-Man, Nick Carraway. So he's just perhaps some more flowers. And I can't help but think of it in his dorky accent of how he does.
Do you want to take that one or do you want to take what drink are you?
I'm down to do what drink I am because I feel like that'll be more exciting than having them be you're Gatsby. And I'd be
Okay, choose a place to go in the summer. And then it's a boat, a pool, a bar, or the mountains.
Definitely between a bar and the pool. During the summer, let's say the pool. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Have drinks at the pool.
Okay, what's your favorite sporting event? We have baseball, we have horseback riding. What is that called?
Equestrian.
No, it's literally the horse races.
It's are you the fancy lady drinking while watching?
It's a polo. It's called polo, right?
No,
do they
that's
have a stick?
that's horse racing.
Horses, tennis, or football.
Definitely baseball. That's the one sport I go to over the summer a lot.
Ooh, okay, what's your favorite movie genre? Comedy, horror, action, or romance?
It's between comedy and horror. I'm gonna say horror. Because that's been a new fan favorite.
I feel like every time I say horror, it sounds like I'm just saying whore.
Whores! It's gonna give me like a spooky drink.
You accidentally scratch someone's car leaving a party. What do? Do you run away, cry, pull out money, or point at them and say it's their fault?
Well, realistically, if you know me, you would know what I choose.
Cry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say cry because that's my initial reaction.
Sick.
Oh my
Choose
god.
a brand. Gucci, Brooks Brothers, Chanel, or Versace.
I guess Chanel. I don't really like any of those brands, but...
Okay, pick a song. Young and Beautiful by Lana Del Rey.
Ugh.
Can you stop being so loud? Lulu.
Luna's just trying to have a good time.
Lay down.
Oh, that was so cute.
Okay, pick a song. A Little Party Never Killed Nobody by Fergie. $100 Bill by Jay-Z. I couldn't know if it was like 100 bill or like to say the whole thing. I've never heard that song.
I've never heard of that song.
Okay, and Green Light by Lorde.
I'm gonna say A Little Party Never Killed Nobody, because that was a jam.
Ooh, you're a gin Ricky.
That's like a great drink, I think. I don't know, I like gin, so...
You put on a smooth facade, but you're anxious underneath.
God damn it!
I think Rayon feels a little bit attacked right now. I feel attacked for her.
Quiz
And
say
it says,
that.
you may not be the most sociable person, but people relax when you're around.
You know what's really funny is somebody told me that apparently I give off this persona where people meet me and then they're like, she just won't talk to you. And I'm like, that's really rude. How dare you? Nobody approaches me. So I guess I'm the broody one, but it's because literally nobody's like, hey.
Maybe you
Somebody's
have like a resting face that you don't know about.
Maybe. Oh god. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was a lot of fun. So we're just gonna jump into everything that we normally do. So our favorite and least favorite, our theories.
Let's do one cheers in between me.
Yes, I mean I've just been downing this.
Drink. Pinkies up.
The Gatsby way, am I right?
Okay, so now that we have figured out what characters and drinks we are, we're going to get right into our favorite and least favorite characters. So Rayanne, who's your favorite character?
My favorite character is Taylor. Nick Carraway. I think it's actually just Taylor. She's in there, she's just hidden. No, I think of all of the characters in this entire book, Nick is the one that I would probably be able to like deal with. Because everybody is very annoying and selfish and broody, and I'm just like, okay, Nick's broody, but we also see into his mind. So I feel like in person, he's just quiet. And I'm like, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Clearly, him and I would be perfectly fine, because we'd be thinking two separate things, but we'd just be sitting in the room silent together. And I'm okay with that.
You'd be civil.
Yeah, that's the thing, is we'd be cool. We'd be hanging out. We'd be together when all the drama's going up, and we're like,
you guys
let's
would
get
leave the
going.
Party early
Yes.
together.
Yes, we would. It's your homies.
I picked, I guess, his lover and Jordan Baker. Mainly because I don't think she's a good person and I don't think we'd be friends. But I respect her in a way that she's, like, the best at what she does and she kind of knows it and she, like, does a lot to make sure that she gives off this, like, persona, I guess, that, like, she wants. And I respect that.
Yeah, I was like, she's a woman who knows what she wants, and that's pretty good.
And she, like, knows who she is, even though she is a big fat liar, like, I think she knows that.
Yeah, I think she kind of just dives into the lies that she's like, no, this is who I am, and she goes at home, she just cries. She's
and
like,
I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, you know, good on her. Least favorite, I'm just gonna say it's everybody. I really especially don't like Tom, and, like, Myrtle, and, like, right? That's her name?
Yeah.
Their relationship just really annoys me. Like, Daisy is just so... She's so interesting, but, like, I really don't like her as a person. And then I want to say I really like Gatsby, but, like, God, he's such a poser. Like, it's so hard because he, like, throws these lavish, like, amazing parties. But I'm like, realistically, you're just that annoying guy who's, like... You're the annoying LA guy who has to, like, fake that he's cool and, like, he's not. I'm like,
well, he's also, like, the guy who's like, yeah, like, I'm really rich. Like,
yeah,
I have a lot of money. And then it's just like, do you, though? Or, like, how did you fucking get this money? Like, you didn't have money.
Yeah, it's like the fact that Nick also saw through that very quickly. I'm like, yeah, you can tell. He asked, where are you from? The Midwest. And then he goes, what part? San Francisco. Like,
San Francisco.
it's not the Midwest.
I know.
That's why I was like, Why? No, you dummy. But yeah.
I also do not like most of the characters in here. In fact, it was hard for me to even find a favorite character. But I'm going to say Tom is my least favorite as well. First of all, he's a racist. Like a big racist.
True.
Second of all, he's like a lady abuser.
A lady womanizer, abuser.
Yeah, a womanizer and abuser. Like, God, I hate him.
Yeah. Okay, we want to jump into themes and plots?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, like, the only themes that I have are, like, the generic ones that, like, everybody has to talk about. Like, the green light is, like, the American dream. It's never achieved. You can't get to it. The eyes of God, which, like, I know you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I honestly
was interesting.
I think the green light also represents, so we talk about it all the time where it's like, yes, the green light represents the American dream and all that. But I also think that it represents, like, Gatsby's, like, ideal life, and that ideal life is money, which is why it's green.
Money.
Green, because that normally represents money, correct?
Yeah, it's like a color associated with money.
So it's like, I feel like he has this ideal life in his head, and that's the whole point of him, like, trying to get Daisy, because Daisy also represents money, which is something that he wants, and something that he did not grow up having. So I feel like that green light is what, like, he wants. Yeah,
I feel like this entire story is also kind of like a loss of, like, innocence type of thing, because it's like the entire time, like, Gatsby's only had this idea of wanting to, like, chase after this dream that he's had since he was a kid, and, like, as he gets older and older, and, like, Daisy realizes, like, nope, I can't say, like, that I haven't loved you, I've also loved Tom at some point, as f***ed up as all of this is, that, like, he's kind of coming to terms with, like, oh, it's not what I imagined it would be, and, like, Daisy's whole idealistic of her life is just like a dream sequence where she's like, this is all great and lovely and blah blah blah, and then she kills a woman, like, that happens, that it's like, okay, yeah, her innocence is gone, like, she married Tom and Tom's an asshole, so that's like poof out of the way, and like it's just like this whole summer dream sequence is just like one kind of like thing that's happening, and once we move into fall, there's literally like death and like loss of everything. So yeah, that whole like eyes of God thing, I am curious if the person who was in Gatsby's library is the actual person in the billboard. And that whole scene where Myrtle's husband just goes off talking about how he's like, the eyes of God are always watching, they're determined. And then there's like the one guy that's like, that's a billboard. Like, that just cracks me up. I think that's the funniest thing. I'm like, yeah, dude, just tear it down.
That's wild. And everyone always talks about, like, okay, so those represent, like, God always watching down on you. But I also think that it's very prevalent, the fact that it's a billboard and advertisement, and it is something that collects money.
Yeah.
It is selling something. So I feel like that is very interesting that is associated with God.
Yes.
It's like purchasing, money, like all that, like materialistic stuff is associated with God in America.
It's also super interesting that it is in a poor area. Like, where they live, it's like dirt, and like all the industrial waste goes to this like wasteland, and that's where this is. That it's like all of these people who are kind of at the lowest of low idolize this billboard and say that it's God, but they don't actually know that, like, once you like see this person, meet this person, it's like a whole Wizard of Oz thing where it's like, we praise him, he's like the saving grace and blah 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 blah, and then you actually meet them, or you meet the people that are like them, and they're just as much of trash as the lower class. I think that's crazy. Do you have any crazy theories? Because I definitely have one.
Tell me.
Okay, so this is something that I kind of briefly said, but I was like, Daisy's living in a whole dreamscape. I'm curious if she had like a mental breakdown, like along the way somewhere, that she is either living in like a dissociative state, or if she actually is like, has had like a break, and so that's why she's very like ditzy and kind of like airy. And I was like, this whole scene where Gatsby's throwing his clothes and she just starts crying because she's like, this is the most beautiful shirt I've ever seen. I was like, you've been surrounded by luxury your entire life and you're crying over a shirt. Like, I'm curious if she had a mental break, because I've always really disliked her, but now I'm like, I kind of feel a little bad for her. I feel like there's something that's like not there anymore.
Well, too, like, she had a mental breakdown right before her wedding, where she was, like, when she got that letter from Gatsby, and she was like, I'm not going to marry Tom. Like, I'm not going to do it. And then her family just kind of, like, cleaned her up, and they were like, okay, let's go. Like, get out there.
I feel like she's, like, what we don't know about her previous to her marriage is, like, she was in an insane asylum, and then they're like, all right, she's ready to be married off, kind of thing. Like, I feel like I want to know her backstory now. Like, what's going on with her?
I have no idea. I've never thought of that.
Yeah, that was just something
I just thought she was a selfish a-hole.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I want to know. I feel like there's more to this than just her, like, complaining and moaning about how her rich life isn't fulfilling.
I had this crazy theory that it was just like they were all on drugs.
Oh my gosh, it was all a dream!
I don't think it was all a dream, but just like the way that they are described, like that's not how you act when you're just having alcohol. At least, like, I guess I've never had enough of it, unless they're just drinking absinthe, like, nonstop. Okay, I didn't have any, like, crazy theories, but I did think a lot the whole entire time about, like, Gatsby's actual love for Daisy and whether or not it was real.
Yes.
Like, I do think that, in a way, he loved her, but for the most part, I think he loved what she represented, and that was the life that he didn't have. Like, he was not a wealthy man. He pretended like he was. And he goes on and on about, like, the reason he fell in love with her was the fact that she was, like, basically well off and a nice girl.
Yeah.
Which she was not a nice girl. So it's like, he saw that she was well off and he made his own assumptions about her, and then they fell in love.
Yeah, I was like, it's that. And on top of that, I forgot about this, but, like, the homoeroticism between Nick and Jay Gatsby is, like, Nick's infatuation. Because, like, the whole thing is, Gatsby has an infatuation with Daisy. He, like, loves the idea of her and who he thinks she is, not who she actually is. And, like, Nick, like, loves and hates the idea of Gatsby, and it only takes him to be gone that he's like, he was the best friend I ever had, and, like, I love him so much, and, like, I'll constantly think about him, and nobody came to his funeral, and that makes me so sad. I'm like, bro, you also, like, talk shit about him majority of the book.
Well, it's true, like, he has so many similarities to Gatsby's, like, that we breeze over. Like, first of all, there's a part where Jordan Baker, like, he catches her in a lie, and he's like, in that moment, I thought I loved her, over the fact that she, like, lied over this thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's f***ed up. Like, that's so weird. The fact that, like, that is something that, like, you latched onto and were like, okay, yeah, like, I get what she's doing here. And I think that's his thing with Gatsby, too. Like, yeah, she lied. Like, he lied for love.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that. He lied because he wanted a better life.
No, he just lied to get what he wanted.
Yep.
It's pretty sad. But
it wasn't love. I wouldn't call it love.
I would not call any of this love. Any relationship that is had, I don't even call, like, I wouldn't call love. Especially even, like, oh, God. And Daisy's, like, love for her daughter. Like, I don't even feel like that's love.
No, it's terrible.
Like,
she, like, literally comes when she's in a good, like, mood, and then she, like, sends her back away.
I was just thinking, I was like, we see the baby
she's like,
twice.
say hello to my guests.
Or she's like 2, or like not even 1, and she's like, hello, child, say hello to everyone. And it's like, what is this baby gonna do?
Don't you think my guests, and that's the weird thing too, is she was like, don't you think my guests are beautiful or handsome?
She's had a mental break.
And she's like 2 years old. This little girl, like 2 years old, is like, I guess. Like, these are old men. Like, it just, I don't know, it really creeps me out.
Everybody here is old. Okay, is Nick the oldest, or is he the youngest?
I think he's the youngest, because at that point, like, he's just, like, wasn't he still kind of getting an education?
Nick has his 30th birthday, but I was like, is that supposed to insinuate that he's the oldest there, or that he's, like, the youngest of everybody? Because I feel like, I always thought of Daisy as young, but I thought of Gatsby as old. I thought of Tom as old, but I thought of Jordan as pretty young. So I'm like, is he just a middle ground? Because I was like, I feel like that whole 30 thing was like, a, like, I know best.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I genuinely have no idea.
I know, it's weird.
That's the only age that's specified in this whole book, correct?
Yeah.
Well, she was young when she got married, and they'd only been married for 5 years, so I think she might only be like 25.
Maybe she is the oldest. I feel like Tom's like old, but he just doesn't talk about it. Like, nobody talks about his age.
This is one of those books that, like, kind of irritates me, the fact that it's taught in high school, because so many people romanticize, like, this love. Like, oh yes, like, I remember having a full-on conversation with someone in high school, like, isn't that, like, such a beautiful story? Like, the fact that he did all of this for love? And I'm like, nah. That's so much romanticizing. Like, same thing with Romeo and Juliet. Like, they romanticize this idea of love, and I don't think children should be taught that.
It is crazy to also think, because I was like, this entire book is about people getting drunk off their asses and then doing, like, stupid shit. So I'm like, the fact that they're teaching these to high schoolers,
and the fact that this was, like, everyone's favorite book when we read it.
It's still, I feel like the thing is everyone had a romanticized view, and now if you ask people who, like, don't really read, but, like, enjoy reading some books, that if you're like, what's your favorite book? And they're like, oh, The Great Gatsby. That it's like, you haven't read that within the past 5 years.
Oh, totally.
Because if you would, it would probably change your viewpoint on it, and then you'd have, like, an entire, like...
Well, too, like, me and Ryan were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
And we both, like, have this idea where we kind of romanticize it because of the movie.
Yes.
And just, like, the beautiful, like, aspects of the movie that kind of stick with
Yes.
you, and you're like, oh, you know what, that was, like, really beautiful and fun, and then it's hard to separate the two, like, visual versus, like, actual content.
Yeah, the, like, plot of the entire story is shit.
No, yeah.
But, like, the visuality of, like, the party, the, like, the mansion that Gatsby lives in, the, like, entire East and West Egg, like, it's beautiful, but it's, like, that's all you think about when you're like, wow, the Great Gatsby, and, like, the Roaring 20s ideals.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. You're like, oh, what's the plot? I don't know. Someone dies. Like, it's crazy. It's literally insane.
What's your rating, though?
Honestly, I would give it probably, like, a 3.75, because, like,
Wow, good for you.
I don't want to give it a 4, because it, like I said, the plot ruins a lot of it, but, like, I do still hold this pretty high in, like, the classics that I have read and have, like, reread.
Mm-hmm.
So
I gave it a 3 stars, and it's one that's easy to read. Like,
Yes,
I've
definitely.
never had trouble, like, getting through it. I think it's
Like,
definitely
it's
interesting,
tiny.
and I enjoy reading it, but overall, like, I do not like the plot, and I don't like the messages being told.
yeah, it's pretty shit, but it's also dated.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's very
true.
dated. It's 100 years old.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, we are very happy with, like, what we read in this book, but, like, overall my rating just wasn't very high, and
Yeah, I was like, it still got docked a lot of points, because it's hard. It's hard, not hard to read, but it's hard to just fathom that this is a book, and
this is people's lives.
this is someone's life. But yes, also make sure to check out our Instagram at tipsy_book_talks. We post literally all of our info there, so definitely check it out to see whatever's coming up.
Well,
Our last little bit. Oh, just kidding.
cheers!
Sarah hasn't drank any.
I'm gonna just chug it now.
Okay, cheers, everybody.
Cheers! Should we hold?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
There's Coda.
I was gonna say, because I knew your dog was gonna start going.
Oh.
Get them little wee woos going on.